Hello, readers and listeners alike. I am Wandering Taff, and this is the Chronicle of Progress. Entry 9. The Academ, the premier arcane college of progress. Over the course of the development of the city, schools for magical studies have popped up periodically. These primarily took the form of apprenticeships. However, occasionally, groups would meet to study and practice. The Duke took particular interest in the development of these programs, not interfering, but rather keeping tabs to make sure the individuals within were not harassed or broken up by a suspicious populace. The Duke played the role of a hidden benefactor, while the citizens of the new city warmed up to the idea of the arcane magics being taught. Not all citizens were superstitious, but there were a vocal few who were backwards in their thinking. Chief among them was an elderly half-orc by the name of Gorket. Gorket was a political rival to Rabius du Morn, when Progress was just a farming town on the hill. Since the old half-orc was still grumbling about being politically outmaneuvered at the time, he tried to make life difficult for any new group that he found distasteful. So one group after another found themselves lucky as they tried to become established. When a home of the fledgling arcanists were burned down mysteriously, the group was directed to a new space that they could use for free, and supplies and equipment found its way into the hedge wizard's hands. When rumors were spread about evil experiments and cult-like devotions, some anti-rumors were started, which spoke to the good nature of these folk, and how they were trying to better their community, looking for cures to diseases and other things. Looking over the evidence of this shadowy political combat that Rabius fought against leaves much to the imagination, much more than I'm comfortable with. Perhaps there's room here for another investigation in the future. With several groups of mages active during the expansion of the city, Rabius's goal of seeing a mage school erected in the city was eventually realized. Most of them combined their efforts to become a single active college. An elven scholar by the name of Lucian Nalo spent quite a bit of his personal revenue to purchase a small house to become the first official Wizards' College of Progress. Over 5 years, with the backing and promotion by Rabius, the single house became a several-block campus comprised of over 15 separate multi-story buildings. These early steps would eventually become the Academ that we know today. Surrounding the campus are permanent and invisible walls of force, erected to serve several purposes. First, they keep passerbys out, as volatile magic is often practiced and experimented with. Accidents do happen. While the mages studying at the Academ are well aware of the danger and accept the risk, the average passerby who happens to cut through the campus walkways would potentially be in danger. Secondly, the walls keep stray magic in, with many inexperienced spellcaster having lost control of a charm or hex or evocation. The last thing the city needs is a summoned and out-of-control monstrous wasp barreling down the street, or a fire blast accidentally setting ablaze the surrounding buildings. Lastly, and perhaps most interesting, the invisible walls that mark the border of the campus have had their arcane formulas modified slightly. Every day at sundown and sunup, the walls burst forth a dazzling display of beautiful lights and color for about an hour. This unique addition to the campus serves as an advertisement to the surrounding populace, drawing crowds of regulars and visitors alike. The formulas are changed every so often, so the light display is not always the same. thus remaining an interesting attraction for the city. There's but a single entrance, a thick iron gate, and a gatekeep house for allowing the students in and out. The landscaping within the walls is decorated with several varieties and species of rare and exotic plants. The rumor is that the plants at the college are imported from other planes, or perhaps magically spliced mutant plants that, while gorgeous, have been engineered and thus violate the natural order. The truth, however, is much less sensational. They're simply imports from other continents. While rare in our region, they're not unnatural in any way, shape, or form. The buildings within the walls of the campus are normal brick and mortar, for sure. However, they are enhanced to withstand stray and magical energies that occasionally erupt there. It is here that the students conduct experiments and hone their craft. Within its halls are the largest libraries in the entire city on history and the arcane. Average citizens are allowed access as the entry gate is directly adjacent to the building, which houses the books. Considering that progress allows all forms of study within its walls, none of the books housed here are considered restricted, and even those that would be one-of-kind items are duplicated for public use. This policy has riled the Alabaster Seminary, but pleas to censor the public from the teachings of necromancy have mostly fallen on deaf ears. Lastly, directly adjacent to the entrance, Rabius appointed a single guard station here. Here, the officers perform duties around the areas as normal watchmen, but are specifically trained in the use of anti-magic scrolls and ways to combat anything that may threaten to escape the walls of the Academ, just in case the worst should occur. The officers wear a single blue and black slash across their armor, issued by the blacksmiths' guilds to differentiate them from the norm to indicate their special training. The creation of the Academ was primarily funded by Lucian Nalo, who stands as the headmaster of the school, as well as being included on Rabius's inner advisor circle for all things arcane. He also stands as one of Rabius's few political opponents, desiring a tighter control on the advancements seen throughout the city, desiring to utilize them for a greater sense of profit and city defense. The two have engaged in several political jabs at each other, but Rabius still maintains the heart of the citizenry. However, Lucian is an elf, and Rabius a human. Considering the difference in lifespans between the two, all Lucian has to do is play the waiting game. Given enough time, Lucian would most likely be the individual to take over the day-to-day direction of the city. Further speculation on how or why is beyond the scope of this entry, but definitely another topic for exploration. The Academ is a beautiful sight and a powerful draw for many nobles and foreign diplomats, but it is also surrounded by the cause of a hotbed of contention. While Lucian opposes Rabius in several fronts, the seat of his power is well established. Time will tell what happens between the two strong leaders. As usual, at the bottom is an index linking you to my many other entries that are mentioned in this particular one. If a topic piqued your interest, feel free to cross-reference the information yourself. I don't monetize for these entries, but if I did, I would tell you, before you cut a copper from me, send a silver to your favorite charity. If you're active in your church, tithe a bit more. Or if you're active in your community, spend a little bit more time volunteering. And lastly, I challenge us all to look the homeless in the eye when we pass by and not just walk by with our eyes straight ahead. We all have hearts and souls and minds and should be loved. If you enjoy what you hear, feel free to drop me a like. If you want to know more about Progress and its inhabitants, subscribe and you'll get weekly updates. Or, if you have a question, drop a line in the comments below. Lastly, and most importantly, if you don't like what you hear, give me a dislike and tell me why. I'm always looking to hone my craft. And how else will I know what works and what doesn't? Be waiting, for my next entry will come soon. But until then, good evening.